Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel.
And I'm Jaren Decker.
And we'll be your host today. Today on Anything Joe's, we are joined by a very special guest. It's none other than Steven Stovall. He's the co-founder of the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe Toy Expo. And we're here to talk to him today a little bit about the experiences of the Expo, what's going to go on this year. It's the big 10th anniversary, and, kind of how things have changed over the years and what the future holds for it as well. Steven, thanks so much for joining us. We are big fans of both the Kentuckiana Show and the Winterfest. I tried to remember prior to this when the first Kentuckiana Show I went to was, and I can't remember specifically. I know I've been going to at least 6 years because I was going prior to my daughter being born. The very first year we went, my wife attended, and it was the only year she attended with me because she learned very quickly she doesn't have the same level of patience that I do. She's like, "You're just going to dig through this bin for half an hour?" Yes, I am. That's pretty much the dream. So I've been aware of it for a long time, but not in the very beginning. Before we start talking Expo convention stuff, though, I'd like the listeners to learn a little bit more about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your origins with G.I. Joe, where your passion for the line is like, what you're collecting now, if anything.
Well, I grew up in the 70s, and so my G.I. Joe was the 12-inch G.I. Joe, the adventure team, with some of the remaining military G.I. Joes, because they were still out there available, yard sales and Goodwill and stuff like that. And so we would end up getting some of those. And then, of course, the popular at the time was the adventure team. And so that's where my passion has always been, with the 12-inch G.I. Joe. And then, back in the day, there were other toy lines that we would play with, the Mego superheroes, the Mark's Best of the West figures, and whatnot. But for some reason, because I have an older brother, when we grew up, so to speak, we got rid of all the other toys, but we kept our G.I. Joes. And I guess we just knew that attraction was there. Now, since then, he's gone on to other things, and his hobby is more model railroading, Lionel trains and stuff of that nature. And some of that comes from, that's where our dad really liked that. And he worked for the railroad. And so that's where it came from. I never caught the railroad bug. I always stayed with my G.I. Joe bug. And then I guess, at that certain time when you grow up and you grow out of toys, and then when they had the 1994 anniversary, the 30th anniversary of G.I. Joe, and that's kind of when I got back into it. And then with the National G.I. Joe Club that Brian Savage ran, part of what they did was they would encourage you to have local clubs. And this was pre-internet days. You could send in, and he would send you a letter with the addresses of all the other collectors that were part of the club in your area. So the other gentleman, Larry Weiss, that founded the show with me, he sent in, got that letter, and started a local club. And we grew quite. We had a pretty good sized club. It was part Kentucky, part Indiana, and so that's where the Kentuckiana part comes from for the name. And we'd always sit around and say, we should do a show. It'd be a good idea to do a show, and we could have other, because we would do trading amongst each other when we'd have like monthly meetings and whatnot. But nothing really came of it. And then at one time we were sitting around. I think we were all over at Larry's house, and he said he got a calendar out and said, if we're going to do a show, let's pick a date and do it. And so he said, we've got to do the first one before we can build on to the other one. So that first show that we did, we had 13 tables, and we let people come in and set up for free, and we let people in for free so we could get that first show under our belt. And then the next year we moved to the hotel that we had been at for the majority of the show, the one that you guys are more familiar with, the Hilton Garden Inn. And then we got too big for that. And so now we found our new place, the Paraquat Convention Center. And it's just been amazing, the growth of the show over that time. And I'll give you a little breaking news here. It looks like what we're going to do next year, because next year's the 60th anniversary of G.I. Joe, and we've had a huge demand for people wanting to come set up at the show this year. We're probably going to take the entire convention center in next year for the show, and really have a big show for G.I. Joe's 60th anniversary.
So, for context, can you give everybody an idea how much more space that actually is going to be?
Um, I haven't worked out all the details, but I think it's probably 40% more space.
Wow. That's amazing considering how far we've come already. The new location I think is tremendous. We got kind of a sampler of it at Winterfest, and it was so much more aesthetically pleasing overall. Just the general experience of like navigating the floor, I felt like was tremendously easier. And yes, of course, having everything in one room was a huge deal. And back in the olden days where it was like you'd get a punch on a card in every room you go to. Actually, funny enough, the first year I went there, I didn't find the third room, the one that's like tucked behind the pool. I didn't see it until I was almost done. I was like, "Holy moly, there's a whole other room! This changes everything. I gotta recalibrate." So yeah, it's. I mean, it's excellent that the show continues to expand regardless of the circumstances. I don't think anybody's like 3 rooms. Absolutely not. I'm out of here. I can't be bothered to walk across the hallway. So I think that's wonderful. I'm extremely excited for the way that the show has been growing.
I will add a little bonus for you this time for this year for the show in a couple of weeks. I was just out to the convention center probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. They have upgraded the lighting in the room, so where the lighting is much better than it was. Not that it was bad in winter. It's a winter show, but that was one of the things that I think I had a couple of people complain about. So we got new lighting. And then also what they've done for the convention center does this in the summer for the shows they have in the summer. They put carpet tiles down. So instead of having the concrete floor, we'll actually have it's not like really plush shag carpet or anything. It's a little more comfortable to walk around with some carpet tiles there. So there'll be a couple of improvements. And then and I don't know if along with the other improvements we have since moving from the hotel, where we have the concession stand there on site, so that you can get something to eat. And then a couple of other things that we're adding this year. We're going to have Ron Rudett as a special guest. So that is his first time in Kentucky. And so we're really pleased with that. And he kind of crosses both genres of G.I. Joe. He's most famous for designing the Cobra logo and all the real American hero figures and whatnot. But he actually started his career at Hasbro in the art department and did some of the art for the Adventure Team comic books and some art on some of the vehicles and whatnot. So we feel like he touches both fandoms in that point. So we were happy with that. Before, we've kind of squeezed the contest entries out in the hallway at the old hotel just because we were out of space. Well, now we've got a big full room that will accommodate the contest entries, and we've got a couple of interesting displays. We have a young lady that customizes 12-inch G.I. Joe figures, and I think she's been at our last 2 shows and has a big setup of all these 12-inch figures that she has put different uniforms on and whatnot. And then this year I have a gentleman that makes 3 3/4 vehicles out of cardboard, but once they're done, they look fabulous. And he's doing a full-scale Cobra helicarrier that he's going to have there.
I saw the preview of this on your Facebook page, and it looks exceptional. I'm a big fan of custom work like this, so I'm excited to see it in person.
Huge, I didn't put all the pictures up he sent me. He sent me one with somebody standing next to it to really just fully get. Cool. Yeah, so I've got to get with him and figure out how it needs to be organized in that room. So our contest room will have some displays in it. We'll have the contest entries in there, and then. We'll also have we're going to try for the first time to have a couple of little seminar roundtable type things. So we've got a couple of people lined up, and we'll see how that works out too.
That's awesome. Going back to the contest, I know historically there's always been a custom contest. Are there additional contests other than that, or is it still going to be the primary one?
There'll be a custom figure contest and a custom diorama contest, and Matt Squatch Customs will be doing is the sponsor of the custom figure contest, and Cotswold Collectibles is the sponsor for the diorama contest. And we're looking at potentially in the future maybe adding a custom photo contest, because I always enjoyed that at Brian's show, going and seeing all the photographs, and quite frankly, because I never had the skill to do a custom figure or a custom diorama, but I could take a picture of G.I. Joe. So I entered that a couple times. I never won, but I did enter. So that's something we're kind of thinking about adding. And we're open to other ideas if people shoot us suggestions and that we'll see what we can do.
Backing up to talking about Ron Root at attending, one of the things that I talk about on every time if you go back to listen to any episode where we've ever been to one of these conventions, I'm always like, man, I really wish they'd bring some guests because it's like a big thing for me. So when Ron was announced, it's a huge deal, not just because it's Ron, but because Ron is one of the few people in the industry that I've never met before. So I was like, oh man, not only did I get my wish, it's somebody that I really, really needed to meet. I reached out to Ron immediately and was like, I'm going to set up a pre-show commission with him. Like, I'll be so excited to see you there. So I'm very excited about that. Ron, I've heard
he's a great guy. I've had a chance to talk to him. I actually talked to him and his wife at the Dallas show last month. They're very pleasant people.
I've only ever heard great stories. Jaren has met him before.
The only downside about Ron coming now is I don't have a one up on Greg. For a while that was my only thing. Like, well, I got to meet Ron.
That's why I got the commission. I was like, listen, I just got to have one thing better than the new guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm going to look through to find stuff starting to get signed as well. I'm very, very excited. So I'm thrilled that guests are now finally like kind of being incorporated in this show, and a much appreciation to all the people that sponsor Ron's appearance as well. I know there's a lot of inner workings that go into stuff like that. So I appreciate the extra effort. It will definitely be payoff for me. I'm extremely excited about it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be fun.
To continue on with guests, we've had like Daryl DePriest was there, and then Mr. DeSimone, I believe, is coming this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Mr. DeSimone was going to be there, but unfortunately, he had some health issues in his family. And had to cancel. So, we just ask everybody to keep him and his family in their prayers, and hopefully we'll be able to get James out here next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully and praying that he gets better. But is there like for you, maybe in 12 inches, is there anyone that like you would love to get to the show that you haven't been able to get in yet? Is there anybody that like your long-term goal is maybe we'll wrangle them in? Is there anybody you thought like that?
Nothing jumps to mind right away. We've been really happy with the way it's gone and the folks we've gotten. I was looking forward to James, being able to be there because James was the first person to do a book of all the 12-inch figures that I think everybody that collects 12-inch G.I. Joes has and has multiple copies of. And then James was also the first one to do, the figure guides and the 3 3/4 figures. So there's a lot of the hobby owes a lot to James and that. But we're open to other ideas for other guests, and I don't know that I have anybody particular in mind, but we'll see how it goes. I've been happy with the dealers and the folks that we've gotten to come out. It's exceeded our dreams from when we were sitting around that one day and said, hey, let's do a show.
Thanks so much to Stephen for joining us and taking time out of his day to talk to us a little bit about the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe Toy Expo. The 10th annual Kentuckiana G.I. Joe Toy Expo is Saturday, July 29th. That's next Friday if you're listening to this on release date. It's at the Paraquet Springs Conference Center. That's 395 Paraquet Springs Drive in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, 40165, which is just about, maybe 10 minutes away from Louisville. You think that's accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's not far away at all. If you were
Easy
already
drive,
coming,
just straight south.
Yeah, if you've already been, it's just a little bit extra. And honestly, I think it's quite worth it. Saturday, July 29th, the hours are 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and that's an $8 admission. They have an early bird that is an hour early at 9 a.m., which is $15. They also have the Friday night Colonel preview, which is 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and all other access for the weekend for $30. Now, if you've listened to us cover this show before, we talk about it every single time. If you're a diehard collector, if you're looking for something rare or unique, I highly advise you attend the Friday Night Colonel package. I know it's a lot of money. We flipped on it. We talked openly about how we were hesitant to pay that much money to get in. And we also talk openly about how we'll never skip one again because the amount of stuff that is sold Friday night is crazy. Like the stuff that you don't know you're missing out on it's substantial. If you're a big collector or you really just want to make sure you're not missing out on anything, I advise it. Otherwise, if you're traveling from far away, maybe you're only going to be here for one day. I still advise the early bird because it's still the first chance to get a look at it. Now, if you're not going with anything specific, like Jaren, for example, I don't think you have anything on your shopping list, right?
I've got a couple things that I've added very last minute as I've been readjusting my room. I like see things. I'm like, oh, I need some of these. I need this.
Well,
But nothing hard.
I'd actually like to just talk about that then because I didn't know you were looking for something anything specific. What is on
Yeah.
your? Doesn't have to be your dream list or just your common stuff you're looking for. I've got both of those things. What are you hoping to see at Kentuckiana?
So the first thing is always I've got these beautiful badgers right here, and so if I see those, I'll have to probably buy those unless they're crazy outrageous again. But I have some pieces for vamps. I want to complete my Vamp Mark II. I'm missing the top panel for the Vamp Mark II, so I've got the two doors, but not the top panel.
Mhm.
And then uh, I need a gas can for one of the regular vamps. And then I'm actually trying to find some more classifieds. I want to get another Cobra officer because the way I've got them set up over here, I just think another officer would look really good.
Mhm.
And then bats, if I can find them at a good deal, I'll take some of
Mhm.
those. And then I want to get just a regular Duke V1. I want to get a regular Duke in like really good shape because
Oh,
I've
okay.
been, yeah,
Interesting. I just had a V1 Duke in that lot that came through.
of
But it's
course.
all right. You didn't want to buy anything from me then. That's fine. Giving it basically I was giving it away. But,
So as I've been
uh
looking through all these, I've been like, this is the first time since I've moved, and actually since before I moved, because I was in, I had all these kids and my basement was getting renovated. So
mhm.
this is the first time in over a year now, probably, that I've been able to actually have all my Joes out. So I've like got them all out, and as I'm setting them up, I'm like, oh, I missed this one. So
Feels good. Yes, it
yes,
does.
yeah, but I've remembered how much I love the Duke. The classified Duke is just like my favorite, and I know that that seems a little like an oddball choice, but just that even the very first version with the gold on it, then the repaint, and then actually I love the Tiger Force Duke. For some reason that one's just chef's kiss. So if I find a regular Duke, and then maybe I don't know, maybe some Tiger Force OG Joes, you never know. And then Ron Rudat. Ron Rudat's going to be there. I got to get something from him too.
Yeah, I'm very excited. If we didn't talk about it already, I reached out to Ron basically as soon as everything was kind of locked in, and
Of course you did.
I commissioned a pre-show commission from him. So because my mentality was like, I know I'm going to get something, I want to make sure that I get it. And also, anytime you can do a pre-show commission, my mentality is like there's no timeline. They can work on it at their leisure. He's got, a full week and a half still. I thought maybe the quality of it will be better. That's at least been my theory. I don't think it's ever been disproven to date. So, and of course, Ron was great. He contacted, he wrote right back and he said, yeah, I've got one other guy in front of you and then I'll start working on it. So that's exciting. I've always wanted to get a piece of art from all the major people that have worked on G.I. Joe. And of course, it's such a huge roster. It's hard to narrow down, uh, who you consider the most important. Plus, people like Herb Trimpe is no longer with us, so that's a signature or piece of art I'm never going to get. So it's always a hot spot. Ron is probably the guest, the most important guest for me personally that they could have named for this show. I guess that I've never had a chance to see that is just as essential as it gets in terms of the creation of the brand. So yeah, I'm looking for stuff to get signed. I'm so excited to get a piece of art. It's not cheap. I mean, Ron is a professional artist. I am paying a lot for the commission, but I would have paid just about anything, quite frankly. And it's a once in a lifetime deal. I don't know how long Ron will tour or if I'll ever even get another chance to see him. So I just was like, I want to put this in the collection, and I won't reveal what character I picked until I have it in hand. We'll talk about it when we cover the actual show. I will say that I struggled at great length, and I even reached out and was talking to other people about it. If I should get Ron to do a classic character that he's known for, a Leatherneck, who he's based off of physically, a Dusty, who shares his last name backwards, Rudat. And I decided to not do that. Someone challenged me to think outside the box, and I did. And when we cover the show, we'll see who I picked. It's a character
I'm
I've been,
excited.
I'll say this also. I've been challenging myself to get characters drawn that I do not have in a sketchbook at all. And so that's what I did. I picked a character I don't have a picture of. So
I've got a guess, and I will give that guess whenever we do the coverage because I want to get that
Okay.
answer immediately.
Okay. All right. So that's something I'm looking forward to. Just in general, I've spent a little bit of money prior to the show. I'm such an eager beaver that I will reach out to the dealers that I know very well. And I'm like, hey, can you show me what you're bringing? Or here's a list of things I'm looking for. You got them. And so I prearranged to purchase two pretty large vehicles right off the bat, which has me worried that I'm overspending ahead of time before I even see what's on the floor. I don't want to get in there. I'm still at a revenue generating phase. We're like a week and a half away from the show, and I was still putting stuff on eBay tonight. I literally just will not stop until I know there's no chance that I can get that money in my pocket before we arrive at that show. I really am just like I'm just like pumping out stuff left and right. Anything I can think of to sell has got to go. So yeah, I'm trying to really watch my budget carefully going from here till we actually get there. In the event that I see something that I gotta have, that's a crazy deal. I'm looking for a Hurricane. A Hurricane VTOL is probably the number one vehicle on my to get list, and it eludes me constantly. I can't believe what a valuable weapon or about what a valuable vehicle it is for its time. It's like a real gem of the 90s, apparently. And I get it. There's a reason I want it so much. It looks great. Color scheme's awesome. It's sleek. And I know you got one.
Mm-hmm.
I regret not buying that one, but
Yeah.
I'm looking for one at a decent price. It's tough to pay the sticker for a vehicle that is such it's small, medium size, but its rarity easily drives it up above the $100. I mean, even that is probably a steal. $100 is kind of what I'd like to find it at. It's probably more realistic that it'll be if it's complete and unbroken, probably double that. So that's a hefty price. But at this point, I've looked for it for so long. If I see it, I might just freak out and grab it and steal it. I mean, like I'm hoping that somebody has it at a good deal. I really do want it. If I see it, I will get it. That's like my big go thing. I've got figures. I'm always looking for con figures. I'm looking for a con exclusive Claymore, which was part of a Tiger Force convention box set. That's probably going to be a $150 figure. It's just it ain't nothing easy, man. So it really does seem like there's a lot of it always comes down to a lot of that for me. I'm a budget shopper, but so I'm looking at stuff that's like $4 or $5, common stuff, troop builders, accessories that I'm missing, weapons and stuff for my vehicles. And then the other flip side is I'm the guy that buys a $500 hot wire con figure because that's something I don't have that I've wanted. So, and typically the stuff that I want the most that has eluded me the longest has done so because it's just crazy high priced. So that's on my maybe list. If I see it and it's a good deal, I'll consider it. It's not like previous con figures. Like when I was looking for I've forgotten that dude's name now. Major crap. He was one of the guys for Destro. It's the last config I was looking for, and I looked for him for years and years and years. And you can see how important it was to him because now that I have him, I can't even remember his name. But at the time, I absolutely had to have him. So yeah, I got some stuff I'm looking for. I'm excited to get in there and go crazy. We will have extensive coverage from Kentuckiana. We're going to try to do our best to film and talk to as many people as we can this year. I'm actually hoping to do a bunch of my shopping up front and then spend the later window talking to people and just kind of getting the flow for the show. If you are on the fence about coming, I've said it many times, don't be. You should come. It's great. If you're not looking for specific G.I. Joe stuff, there's plenty of other toys to look through. It's family friendly. There's a great gathering of G.I. Joe fans after the show in the convention area where you can just kind of hang out and eat and just I have friends. There's no weird division between 12-inch guys, classified guys, 3 3/4 guys, modern guys. We don't care, man. I love G.I. Joe. And if you love G.I. Joe, you and I have more things in common than most people. So that means you're probably going to get along well with me. I don't care what size it is. You just love the same thing that I love. And that's good enough for me. So please don't feel like you're showing up on your own. You will have friends at Kentuckiana. I guarantee it. Sorry this episode is so short, but we've been hard at work at Cobra Convergence 7. And I'm happy to say it's pretty much ready to roll out. I'm pretty pleased with it. The Cobra Convergence 7 video for us will launch exactly 1 week from today. That's next Wednesday. It'll be available as an audio stream, just like this is. And it'll also be available on our YouTube channel with, enhanced visuals or, acceptable ones at the very least. So we're excited for that. We hope you've been enjoying Cobra Convergence 7. I know I certainly have. We'll also have a very awkward interview with Hooded Cobra Commander where Jaren has got a bizarre delay and we don't figure it out until halfway through. So it looks like he's not hearing us and then interrupting us for a while. You don't want to miss it. It's good stuff. I think will launch on the same exact day. If you're, I don't know, just looking for something else to kick around with, it's another 30 minutes of us just jabbing. So anyway, all that and the said and done, you got no skip week. We gave Cobra Convergence next week, and then we'll be back in 2 short weeks with actual coverage from Kentuckiana, where we're talking about what we saw, what we bought, how much poverty I'm in, and all the great adventures that we got into. It's going to be a great time, and I'm just looking forward to it. You can't even believe it. It's an 11 out of 10. I'm raring to get me some good stuff. Last year was like a record-setting. I brought home a record-setting amount of stuff. It was like I was sneaking stuff up here, so my wife didn't see all the stuff because I was like, "There's no way I can make her believe that this was a modest amount of money." So
there was so much stuff that I had to take my car to the shop afterwards. It was not ready to haul all that stuff.
It's going to be a good time. So we'll see you guys then in 2 short weeks where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.